to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief public show. Woohoo! Got to spit that out fast. Want to just get my head on straight here. Thought I was ready to go, but then I noticed that I was missing the YouTube page. How am I supposed to know who's heckling me if I don't have that damn YouTube page open? And actually, pleased to see we got a few new names here on the site. Of course, we just started up a new school term, so probably have a whole new whack of new people in our community that we've got to break in and try and unprogram them the way that society has programmed them to think about managing money, and we got to teach them the whole brand new way of doing this, which is always fun. And of course, it always puts a big smile on my face when I see people go, man, now I can't talk to my family about money anymore because they're all idiots. Anyway, happy, what the hell day is it? 16th of January, 2024. So we're marching through this month like a son of a gun. We're already halfway through the first month of 2024. Of course, this is going to be one hell of a tumultuous year. Somebody in the lounge today was asking, just, kind of tertiarily, hey, Brian, what do you think's going to happen with all this? And I'm like, oh, God, this world is an absolute poop show right now. And it's very, very difficult to make head or tail out of what's happening here while the stupid 1% is going through this great reset. And I would actually argue that this is the process of them basically stealing an entire generation's wealth from them. And in previous great resets, 1940s, I don't know, was there a guy running around Germany causing trouble then? And oh, by the way, it turns out that the bankster elites actually funded him and put him into power. So how ironic, fit into their plan so perfectly. And then he sort of said, you know what? Screw these fucking banksters. We're going to take over the world. And then they had to sort of get rid of him as best as they could. Really, you could argue the banksters put Lenin into power over there in Russia, and they never were able to rectify that situation. Although, there is always a question about whether Putin himself is nothing more than a puppet of those, because I think he's a fan of this World Economic Forum, and how ironic. I think that, like Klaus has got like Putin and my idiot leader in the sort of the same class as we have penetrated their assholes. Oh, wait a minute. I meant cabinets. Anyway, of course, Brian's starting off on a terrible rant. Demonetized. You suck. Yeah. But if anything, it's great. We've got our limited viewers, and you guys all love when I go crazy. So where's DMAC? Hey, there he is. And he says, smash them likes, folks. The only issue here is today is Tuesday. And of course, on Tuesdays, we have TRI CTO on the call, Sjord, for our after party. So maybe that's a little tease for you to join the after party. And I have to remember when Sjord is speaking, Brian, shut the fuck up. Right? Isn't that how we go? Yeah, Sjord's awesome. In fact, actually, we've got him on the call today. You want to say hello to these good people, sir?
Hello, good people.
There you are. TRI is going through some growing pains right now. As you can see, we have issues that we're dealing with. I had a meeting with Sjord earlier today. Sounds to me like he's on top of the situation, but nonetheless, my apologies, site members, valued viewers. Unfortunately, weekly commodity trend survey, some of the functionality of the site's a little bit choppy right now. And of course, with Binance being excommunicated from the Western world, and really not a big surprise what these Western democracies which I think is a load of horse shit. We're just being totally led by the nose here by these damn 1% bankster crook bastards. Um, basically them crapping on Binance. We lost a huge sort of integration data set there for our website. So we're trying to deal with that. How can we, give you things like crypto top 30 breadth indicators when we're not even allowed to get the data from a huge participant in this market. So it's a bit of a challenging environment, no doubt about it. And I wouldn't be surprised with regard to crypto that the 1%, the banksters, and of course the politicians are in the banksters' pockets, especially the left-leaning politicians that are in certain positions of power within the United States and countries like China and stuff. I think that they're actually trying to declare war on this whole ecosystem, and if nothing else, almost like corral us into a zoo, into our cages. And if anything, like, okay, we'll let you have these ETFs and these stocks, but you better jump through all the particular hoops that we want you to do. And of course, we're going to tax you up the ass every step of the way. Good old capitalism. Western 21st century capitalism, is that maybe what we call it? Quasi communism. It's ironic how the you can even argue that the political lines these days, since the end of the Cold War, they've been completely blurred. The workers' political party in my country has actually done everything they possibly could to completely and utterly undermine the standard of living in our society for the working class. Now, how the hell does that work? It makes no sense what's going on. Cats and dogs living together, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of rant there to start your day, and it kind of wasted 5-10 minutes of your time. But hey, what the hell? Hope you enjoyed the comic stylings of that Beamish guy. Econs out today. I know I was actually pretty pleased, just being the demonstrator of best practices, just coming in, doing my thing day in, day out. I think it's incredibly important that if you do fancy yourself a day trader, really, actually, I would even argue swing trader or investor, you really should be journaling, logging everything that you do in the market. And of course, I've committed to jumping through my old prop firm's hoops just to sort of prove to the world that I can still day trade and be a profitable trader. And I got to say, actually, we're doing pretty darn good here of late. I'm actually a little surprised. In fact, I even, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 setups and only one loser. That's pretty rare. And I actually even missed a setup here, which turned out to be a pretty good day as well. So, the point here is, it's far easier said than actually done. But this little demonstration account that I'm doing with my old prop firm, it's slowly, I think it's about a third of the way to its objective for them to say, well, Mr. Beamish, I guess you are still a respectable trader, so we'll talk to you. But anyway, slow and steady wins the race. Just keep on keeping on. Wasn't a huge win today, but nonetheless, demonstrator of best practices. Just identify what your setup is and just live by the results, and just live by the sword, die by the sword. Very small win for these little micro accounts that I'm running, but nonetheless, profit is a profit is a profit. So chalk it up to business as usual. Having fun in the broader market, strapped on a nice little short. I mean, this is so classic. I know there's this guy, ICT, and I don't know what it is about this crazy internet world, but people don't actually go by their real names. I have no idea what the guy's real name is. But I do believe that this is one of his setup kind of ideas. You know me, Brian's favorite fib 78.6. Whenever I see this kind of dumb counter trend rally, and what was really cool about this setup is you notice a beautiful bearish divergence setting up through this rally to new highs through here. Nice breakdown. Willie got nice and stupid up through here. So, I mean, this had everything that I do and teach you guys written all over it. And of course, you can see the pretty M's, and Brian's in there trying to hit the market. And actually, this worked out pretty well. Sold 4 of these micros on this guy, took partial profits on half the position, so you don't lose any money on it. Took some more profits on 2 to 1 getting hit. Now just riding the runner. We'll see where the hell this damn thing takes us. So yeah, it's not a bad morning. And again, my big objective here is to be the demonstrator of best practices. I'm not too concerned about the money. I've told you guys before, I do perfectly fine if I don't even make another dollar in the market, or selling subscriptions or whatever. My big thing is to try and make a positive difference in this world. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm doing something along those lines. Let's see. What else should we talk about here today? Econs, I think probably half of the reason why you're seeing this market break the way that it is, and this might actually be a good illustration for you guys here today. When we had our econs come out first thing this morning, the headlines, before we sort of really get going in earnest. Yeah, Europe feeling a little bit better. Mind you, the German economy is contracting right now, so it's I mean, how are we in recession in Europe? I think so. Are we in depression in Europe? We might be. Um, there's Norway's GDP contracting. Actually, it was and it's interesting in this sort of European malaise. I've been sort of pointing out to you guys recently that the US dollar actually was trying to put in a bit of a bottom and actually rally here. So, in a weird sort of way, I didn't expect this to happen, but in this environment, you can see this again, very typical setup that I teach people on the site, the bot. Having us go long here at the 25 risk against these lows, 3 higher lows. You can see where we pulled the trigger here. Just want to demonstrate being the best demonstrator of best practices. So on move stop to scratch level, well, basically move stop to scratch. So that's where it's sitting. You don't really see that right now off of this metric. And there is the bot target. And you can see there goes the US dollar index just rocking and rolling here. This is a pretty little AB equals CD. So in a weird sort of way, if this trade's working, this is that risk off kind of idea. Oh, that's his name, Michael Huddleston. I didn't know that. All right, well, there you go. And he's learned most of his stuff from Larry Williams, eh? And Richard Wyckoff and W.D. Gann and who is the famous guy back in Japan that made a ton of money trading Japanese candlesticks and cuckoos a million years ago? I used to know his name off the top of my head. Anyway, can't remember it now. All right, so back to our story here. So if this is rallying, then actually things like risk assets should be coming off. And you can see stock markets are generally, I mean, the NASDAQ had that big pop there. And then, of course, I had that cute little entry there. But you can see things like the Dow are just not happy at all right now. And also, too, we've talked recently about how the transports were not really happy. So it doesn't surprise me that the Dow's not happy. But look at the bonds. Woo-wee. What the hell is going on here? And, as I said there a moment ago, some cross currents here that this is going to be a tough environment, because I think that the econs of the Fed raising interest rates as dramatically as they have, and that was very historic, them cranking rates up as fast and as hard as they did there. I don't think in any time in our recent memory you ever saw any central bankers move that hard and that fast. We're starting to see the anecdotal evidence in the economy of what that policy has done. And just to give you a graphic, this is what I posted in the lounge on the release of that number. I mean, you know me, right? Lower highs and lower lows defines a bear. We tried to W out here and it failed. And now we've broken through these lows. And the headline now, of course, is the New York State area, its economy in the manufacturing sector in the New York State economy is the worst it's been since basically the health crisis nonsense. Which is interesting because that should theoretically be, I don't know what the hell I did with the page. I think I had on here. Was it here? Yeah, over here. I had on some notes from a meeting earlier. Sorry about that. Um, the econs here, right? Today's econs. Um, this New York Empire State Manufacturing Index report. Look at the carnage here. Wow, that's an insane number. I mean, basically, New York State business is going into free fall here with regard to manufacturing. I suppose the services sector is probably not too bad. Coming up on 15, 20 minutes here, so I should probably wind up this public rant here for you guys fairly shortly. But at the same time, too, notice in China actually came out with inflation data today. And the headline, interestingly enough, out of China is that, inflation actually is coming in. Inflation rises as expected. And of course, runaway socialist communists here in Canada, this inflation problem is still bad. And so there's the backdrop here is that we have pretty bad economic situation, and the Fed has had to raise rates because of this inflation problem, and it's affecting the economy. But at the same time, the because of the communists and the absolute insane government spending and government printing of money right now, the inflation problem is still bad. It's not getting any better. So shortly after this econs were released, you notice we have speakers here, and the speakers have basically said, and I think this is why the stock markets are rolling over. The Fed could cut rates this year, but they don't plan to do anything rapidly, and they're not going to be aggressive in cutting rates. And if they do, well, this inflation problem is going to come screaming back, violently. And of course, if you listen to other people, talking heads on social media and all that kind of stuff, there's one. Well, anyway, and I've shown you repeatedly. All I have to do is type in my browser because my browser sees this all the time, right? All I have to do is type in the first few letters of inflation data. I've shown you this so many times. Sadly, we actually know what's going to happen in the future. Although I'm not quite sure why that's not loading. Oh God, now what the hell? Maybe they're going to get rid of it so we can't see this. But I guess the point I'm trying to make here is we actually already know, and I said in the lounge here earlier today, we actually have to expect that we went through a big whack of inflation, great reset, and really this is what this is all about. Is the Klauses of the world are basically hyperinflating these economies to make the old debt situation seem small relative to this new size of this economy. So that's what the inflation is. And I would actually argue it's like I said, it's basically just stealing Generation X, probably also too to a certain degree the millennials. It's like literally stealing their livelihood, stealing their standard of living to make sure that the banksters can continue this joke of well, debt is money in our society. But I guess the problem here is that you think we just went through the bad part of this inflationary problem. I hate to say it, folks. You can see 1947. Look at these numbers. They make the first wave look laughable. So this isn't going to go away anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised if the entire rest of this decade is just an absolute shit show of the 1% fucking us over. There you go. There's a nice colorful anecdote for you. And I couldn't believe what I'm hearing now. It's actually interesting. I don't even know if you know how to, if I can find it here. I listened to a guy on social media yesterday, a doctor. And, this doctor, he goes, what the frickin' what the hell are they talking about? And he pulled out like 10 different medical journals and encyclopedias on disease and stuff. And he goes, like, I've been practicing medicine for 15 years. I have never heard of this. They are just making this stuff up. And the worst part about it is who's actually talking about it? It's this World Economic Forum assholes that are jamming this down our throats. I don't know whether you want to throw this idiot in there as well. But, this doctor guy is like, oh boy, you can just see that they're setting us up for this. So, just understand, and in the lounge today, some people were like, well, Brian, what do you think? And I'm like, I hate to say it, but this is going to be a damn difficult few years ahead of us to get through the end of this cycle. So, if anything, play from a position of strength. Slow and steady wins the race. You can start to see the anecdotal evidence that, they're trying to get in front of this inflation problem. And of course, you can see here 1944. You can see that in a weird sort of way, this is like 2024 by them cranking interest rates up as hard as they did in 22 and 23. They're going to bring the inflation number down because they're basically going to rip the economy a new what. And it's probably going to send everything into a tailspin. Then mysteriously we're going to have this disease that's going to force everybody shut everything down, and then that's going to give the green light for the banksters to go and print a whole crap load more money, and the politicians freaking out as the stock market break, blah 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 blah. I mean, you've heard it 100 times. So, that's your backdrop. This is a tough environment for us to operate in. Not going to sugarcoat it, folks. This is not going to be fun. What I do find interesting is how, in that poor economic data backdrop, these bonds actually should be rallying. So the fact that they're selling off and the long bond is selling off very hard here, I mean, this is only a half-hour chart. But the fact that they're heading down with that horrific economic data print, this is going to be a tough environment. And also, too, and I'll probably leave off the video at this, our January barometer kind of idea. You can see how the studies were kind of suggesting that, oh boy, the second half of this month is going to be a bit of a challenge. So you can see that we did rally into the end of last week. The market tried to rally, and it's just slipping here. And I wouldn't be surprised, this has to now reflect sort of what the year looks like. I get the distinct impression the first 6 months of this year are going to be a bit of a challenge. And of course, we've shown you that image from Mr. Larry Williams, his to what a typical presidential election year sort of pattern looks like. And it also suggested that we should have a bit of a tough first 6 months of the year. So just understand this is going to be a bit of a challenging environment for everybody going forward. I might even suggest that, for crypto enthusiasts, maybe just cool your jets. Maybe just wait for, like, what are these indicators? This is a weekly price chart. You can see the M's. You can see Willie is stupidly overbought. You can see what happened when Willie got stupidly overbought there in the spring, and we had to go sideways for 6 months, or I guess 4 or 5 months. Then that set up a next wave. Maybe just let this stuff settle down a little bit before you start going like uber crazy on the buy side in the market. All right. So with that said, why don't we head on over and we'll go hang out with our TRI CTO and talk a little crypto, and also how wonderful things are over there in Europe right now. And if anything, we'll get an update on some of TRI's CTO's crypto ideas. I mean, it is interesting that CHZ still seems to be finding a bid. So, they always say there's always a bull somewhere. And of course, good old Sjord furnishes us with a list of names that he really likes fundamentally in the space. And so on Tuesdays, I always like to get a nice update from Mr. CTO on his list, and fundamental developments, and maybe also too, after he's done his presentation, we can circle around, look at what the little old lady's doing in the marketplace, and whether we've done any transactions of late. And actually, there are some interesting areas over on the Solana network. Some names have come right back down to earth, and I've actually started to step in and do a little bit of nibbling there. So TRI, it is a Crypto Tuesday, so let's head on over to the after party and let's spend a good bit talking crypto and talking trade setups and talking what the hell 2024 is going to look like in crypto land. All right, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins race. Remember what your number one job is. Don't take no win nickels, and the only thing I'm saying is bye for now.